Well, happening now at the TTC Hillcrest Complex, Mayor Olivia Chow is making a transit announcement alongside TTC officials and the federal housing minister.
I would take the 501 across town. You can't be blamed for the traffic, but the streetcar I depended upon in a serious way, and so that's how we get around the city, and we get around the city thanks to you and thanks to investments like this one. And so I just want to say thank you. When we think about a couple of things I want to emphasize as well, just around what's happening today, because we have the threat of tariffs, we have what has been our long-standing and closest ally is now a threat to our economic security, and you are going to continue to see an incredibly forceful response from the federal government. We will fight tooth and nail on your behalf, and that includes a strong response when it comes to retaliation. Of course it does. There are retaliatory tariffs, and those are in place, and they will continue. You've seen, I think, the right approach from not only Prime Minister Trudeau, but also from Premier Ford, and at all levels of government, we've seen a forceful, united Team Canada approach. Part of that approach is also about building up our country at the same time and making sure that we are delivering on housing, making sure we're delivering on infrastructure, and making sure we're expanding and strengthening core parts of that infrastructure, including public transit. And so when we think about announcements like today, when we think about announcements around public transit infrastructure, it really is how we build up this country in a serious way, and it really is time to build. And the last thing I just want to emphasize is partnership. And you're going to hear from Mayor Chow, but we have, ever since I have taken on this role, I've only been doing this for the last 2.5 months as a Minister of Housing and Infrastructure, I have worked night and day to make sure we are delivering for this city and delivering across this country to get as much done as we possibly can. And we've got a really strong relationship with Council here and with the Mayor, and you have seen major investments at Waterfront, you've seen major investments in transit, and you're going to continue to see major investments in our city to build our city up and build our country up every step of the way. And just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Minister. I'd now like to invite Mayor Olivia Chow to the podium. Thanks.
Great to be here this morning, joined by Minister, TC Chair, and the CEO. Yesterday, when I was on Queen Street, I saw a long line of people waiting for the streetcar to come. They were looking a bit grumpy because the lineup was long. And sometimes in the morning, I hear about signal problems, the subways delayed, there's service disruption. And yet when I go into a subway to greet some of the TTC riders, they are very, very thankful for the TTC service because they rely on it. And that the fact that there's no fare increase, they're excited. And they heard about that there will be increase of service. They said, oh, when? I said, well, we need more streetcars. We need to train more operators. It's coming. I said, wow, we can't wait. I am so pleased that TTC is doing a bus bunching pilot on 10 routes around the city, and that they're getting TTC running more often in streetcars, 6-minute or better services in off-peak period and weekends for Dundas, Bathurst, and Sinclair, but not quite yet in the fall because we need more streetcars, we need more operators. Delivering on these commitments means we need more vehicles, right? More streetcars to get commuters where they need to go faster. And Hillcrest Yard is a vital part of this vision. In 2023, we committed to buy 60 new streetcars to help speed up the services. 25 streetcars will be stored right here at the yard. They can be quickly activated to serve the Bathurst, Sinclair, and other streetcar routes across the city. And through the investment to expand this existing site, we are going to keep the storage cost effective so that more money, can go to benefit riders directly. And by the way, it's all Canadian made. I think it's local. I just want to also take this opportunity to address the economic uncertainty that we are faced with that trade war. We will get through this together, and as the minister said, we are working together with a Team Canada approach and buying Canadian whenever possible. The TDC streetcars are made in Canada's success story. This $568 million investment to build 60 streetcars is creating jobs right here in Ontario, and the streetcars are being produced by Alstom's plant in Thunder Bay. It's one of the many examples how the City of Toronto is using our $78 billion budget to invest in Canada. Today, I can confirm that the City of Toronto will award all contracts valued less than $353,000 to only Canadian firms. And I will bring forward a motion to the Executive Committee and to Council barring any U.S. companies from future Toronto contracts. We can all do our part by shopping locally, buying Canadian whenever possible at the grocery stores as part of our weekly shopping. There are many, many great options to choose from, and the City of Toronto is doing our part to award contracts to local firms. Thank you, and I will now turn it over to TDC Chair and my dear colleague, Jamel Myers.
I don't know if that's for me or for
Well, we've been listening to Mayor Olivia Chow alongside some TTC officials talking about some upgrades to the TTC Hillcrest complex. We'll have more on that coming up throughout the morning and afternoon. But let's go back live to Mayor Olivia Chow, who's speaking at the TTC Hillcrest complex, taking questions.
United, we are taking a Team Canada approach. Yes, it may hurt a bit on our pockets. It may cost more if we don't buy Canadians, but I think as Canadians, as proud, by Americans, pardon me, but as proud Canadians, I think we are united in saying that we will never back down. There is no way that we will be 51 states, and we will stay strong. And if it's costing a bit more, we haven't had the financial analysis at this point yet, but I think it's important that we stay strong in our principle and not shop American.
Mayor Alan Carter from City News. I have two questions, one tariff and one non-tariff related. On the tariffs, you admit that it is a fairly small amount that the city's actually doing. So it's symbolic.
Well, not totally. 10% of a capital budget that is $60 billion is not that small. There's operating budget also, which is $18 billion. If you want the entire spreadsheet on which project it would be, we could provide those details with you later on. But on principle, we believe in buying local, because any contract that is under $353,000, there's no reason why we have to shop outside Canada. And we are barring any American companies from any Toronto contracts in the future. I believe Torontonians are smart. We are strong in AI and tech. We are creative, we have the experience, we're highly educated, so we can deal with our own contracts. We don't have to go to American companies.
On snow removal, last week you were pretty upset, said that you had been deceived about the snow clearing on sidewalks. Do you have a better sense of how the city did, and what is your relationship with staff now, considering what you said about not getting the truth?
Thank you for that question. I didn't use that strong a word, deceived, but our eyes can see that there was snow on the sidewalk. We've received over 24 1,000 complaints on 311. So obviously something is not quite right. There is a review going on right now. I've asked the city manager and the auditor general to look at previous contracts. The contract that was signed before I became a mayor, it was signed in 2019, and that it was subjected to several auditor general comment report. In fact, one of the councillors here, Councillor Jamel Myers, spoke out, I recall, very forcefully to say that there are something wrong in the snow removal service in 2022, because the Scarborough area that Councillor Myers represent was not well served at that time. So we knew there were problems in 2022. I didn't come in till the end of 2023, and 24 there wasn't much snow. And this year we did not do well on the sidewalk snow. I'm not talking about removal, I'm talking about shoveling snow. Now the weather has now cooperated with the rain. The snow have melted it, and the staff did a lot of work, did good work to remove the snow, so it's mostly cleared. I do want to take the opportunity to thank the frontline staff across the city that worked hard, and I think the contract that we signed may need to be re-examined, and we need to improve on our service.
Hi, Andy Takagi from the Toronto Star. I'm not sure who can answer this one, but do we know yet how Trump's tariffs, especially the ones that will be coming on aluminum and steel, might impact the TTC and the city's transportation services?
Let the engineer answer that.
A fair question. We're self-assessing that as we speak. We had started a couple of weeks ago when this was starting to escalate. So we don't have those specifics quite yet, but we will be making sure we do the right moves. We want to make smart moves, and we want to make sure that we're in sync with the One Canada approach, because it is the right approach in our view as well. So we'll make sure we're in sync, but I don't have those specifics right now. We generally buy based on quality, technical strength, and price. So it's a mix of all of those. So we'll continue to do that, but what we're going to do is bring in the origin, the source of origin, and also what's underneath it. If something's assembled in Canada, but a large percentage of the parts are sourced south of the border, then that comes into play as well. So we assess all that stuff, and we'll make those key decisions, but we can't give you quite the detail just yet.
For the mayor, how obviously the announcement that you made today regarding contracts applies.
Can you speak closer to the mic so I can hear you better?
The announcement that you made today applies to contracts that will be going forward in the future. How are the tariffs impacting the city's current contracts, and how will that affect the city's budget?
At this point, we have not done a clear analysis, because the contract originally, well, let me put it this way. The auto tariff is now delayed because we were looking at our fleet. A lot of them are American cars. So what kind of impact? Now, because it's been delayed, we don't know. So it's a bit of a moving target at this point. So I'll be able to give you a complete analysis next week when our staff have opportunity to examine what kind of impact it would have. But what we are doing, though, is we're encouraging every division, we're encouraging the public to buy local, buy Canadian, and shop local. We are looking at all the small businesses grants that we have available, and we are looking at incentives and grants and incubation so that the small businesses can become more successful. The minister and I, a couple of days ago, were at a training center. We are putting together a training center. We're looking at ways to train up the City of Toronto, the Torontonians, so that they have the skills to manufacture things.
Hey everyone, Aidan Shamandi from Toronto today here. I just want to be really clear about the 55 new cars.
Well, we've been listening to Mayor Olivia Chow taking questions from reporters at the TTC Hillcrest complex in relation to the ongoing trade war and tariffs.